Hello and welcome everybody, and thank you for joining me again. My name is Wilkie and I'm back with the next Ranger guide for Black Desert Online. Today's topic of the video is going to be awakening skills. Now I will try to cut out screenshots of the skills instead because this is kind of confusing if I do it with the skill calculator or the skill tree. Um, but yeah, basically we are going to look at core skills, which is pretty much what you should awaken once you get the chance to awaken them, which is the first awakening you can get is at level 48, and after that you will get another one of 49, 50, so on and so forth. So basically every level after 48 you will get an additional awakening slot, I guess you can call it. And what that means is basically you can pick a skill which you want to awaken, and after you awaken that skill, this skill is more or less going to be locked into that awakening slot basically. So you can change the awakening with an in-game item, which is relatively easy to farm. But if you want to delete that said awakening, or you want to get that awakening slot back, you do have to resort to a cash shop item. So I do advise you to not go randomly and awaken every skill you have. Though you can awaken a pretty good amount of skills later on, so it's not like even if you do one or two mistakes, you don't necessarily need to correct those. But if you were to happen to pretty much waste every of your awakenings on bad skills, you will most likely have to resort to the cash up at some point. Anyways, we're gonna start off with, like I said, the core awakenings, which are pretty straightforward. Now the first skill is going to be Will of the Wind. Now, that is the only skill, at least I know, that can have the possible awakening of HP as additional damage. That makes this awakening, rather that skill, deal a lot more damage. The skill itself already deals a pretty decent amount of damage. However, if you get the awakening for an additional 5% of HP as damage, that's gonna help you dish out even more damage. And as I said, this is really the only skill I know of that can have this type of awakening. So you should definitely try to get that awakening. Now the next two skills we're going to awaken will be Blasting Gust and Evasive Shot. Now basically the deal about these two skills is, in most cases you will either use one of these two or even both of these in combination. The thing is, basically, what I usually roll is I try to get a 10% movement speed slow on Blasting Gust, and once I have that, I'll try to get a 10% attack speed buff on Evasive Shot. Now, the deal is, since you can use these skills very freely in a combo, and it doesn't really take long to get used to that, you can switch that order around. So let's say you were to roll attack speed on Blasting Gust instead, then I would recommend to get the slow on Evasive Shot instead. Now, people may be confused about trying to get multiple stacks of attack speed on Awakenings. They do not stack. So if I were to get attack speed buff on Blasting Gust and Evasive Shot, it's not gonna stack. So you want to split out the bonus buffs you could potentially get. That's why I'm saying try to get attack speed on either of these two, because those are skills you use very frequently. And what's even better is that Evasive Shot triggers automatically whenever you use your UCV or your shotgun skill, which makes it very easy to keep an attack speed buff up all the time, because it's very easy to use shotgun and it's a very common thing to use inside a combo. So I definitely try, or if I were to recommend an order, I'd try to get slow on Blasting Gust and attack speed on Evasive Shot. Now for any other awakening, these three skills are literally the core awakenings you will want to get, because those are the skills you use very frequently, and you can really benefit from having an awakening on these skills. You can awaken a lot of other skills, but I don't really recommend awaken any other skills unless you're 100% sure that those are skills you actually want to awaken, and that they can actually have a beneficial bonus for you. Now, what else I would awaken, so after you're like, let's say 52, 53, and you can awaken more skills, what I would go for is Evasive Explosion Shot, because you use that very often in both PvE and PvP, so this can come in handy quite often. Pinpoint is a very good contender, because it's very easy to use in between combos or as a starter. So that may be a very good skill as well for you to awaken, if you use it. If you don't use Pinpoint, I'd recommend not to awaken it, because you're going to waste a slot on that. And yeah, pretty much any other skill you use very often, for example, Penetrating Wind or even Descending Current. Descending Current has a special, I guess, place in the Awakening skill set. Basically, there's two good bonuses you can get on Descending Current. One would be a 10% movement slow as well, because due to the nature of a high OE, and you are able to hit multiple targets, it would allow you to place a slow on multiple enemies very easily. And the other thing you may want to get is simply additional power, simply so that skill actually has a bit more oomph behind it. But basically, for any other awakening after the 3 core ones, try to get one awakening that increases your critical rate for a few seconds, which is I think 5% for 5 seconds. Not sure if there's a 10-second version, but a 5% crit for 5 seconds is definitely what you should be trying to get. And any awakenings after that, try to get either attack speed slow, can be very good for PvP, or additional damage on whatever skill you want to awaken is never a bad thing either. What I would not try or recommend to get is awakenings like additional XP, because it's usually 1 or 2% XP for 5 seconds, which isn't terribly bad for PvE, but on the long run, if it's on a skill you don't use very often in PvE, it's not really gonna benefit. It's really no benefit for you, and on top of that, it's absolutely useless for PvP. So most of the awakenings you'll get are mainly for PvP, but not only. Like I said, additional damage, attack speed, that's pretty much something you can also benefit from in PvE. But yeah, whatever you choose to awaken the other skills with is up to you. Like I said, there's only really 3 core skills I recommend is Will of the Wind, HP as damage as awakening, Blasting Gust and Evasive Shot. Try to get attack speed buff and movement speed slow on any of these two in a combination, so you can have both of these buffs and debuffs at the same time. And anything after that is pretty much personal choice. There is no 100% wrong or right thing to do with the awakenings, at least not for Ranger. This may apply to other classes, but for Ranger, like I said, there's the 3 core skills you will want to awaken, and anything after that is personal choice. Pick skills you use very often, pick skills you're familiar with, and pick skills you know that you can use them, well, not 100% all the time, but you know that you can use them very frequently, so you don't have to wait for cooldowns. You don't need to have a lot of mana, because if you rely on certain skills and you cannot use them in a combat situation, it's not going to be beneficial for you. So yeah, that is pretty much all I can tell you about awakening skills for Ranger. This may change in the future, especially once we get the actual awakening weapon, which would mean the Spirit Sword, I think. But that's probably a good 3, 4, maybe even half a year away from now, so don't bother with that. And until then, you should have plenty of awakening slots as well. Anyways, if you need to know something else, or if something is not really clear, let me know, and I'll try to clear that up. Hopefully you'll learn something about awakening skills on Ranger today, and yeah, if you need anything else, feel free to ask me.